There's something special about lighthouses. For one thing, they are all different, so preserving them is like building a collection. And like all historical objects, they prompt feelings of nostalgia.
To me, this is still based on my grandparents, and I think of roots here.
North Point Lighthouse on Lake Michigan in Milwaukee is completely restored and open to the public.
This was built in 1854. The light was lit in 1855.
But lighthouses built in remote places proved much more difficult to restore, requiring enormous resources. Michigan's Port Austin Reef Light on Lake Huron was abandoned in the 1950s, but an automatic light kept working. In 2011, the government allowed local volunteers to try to restore it. What looked like a couple of years of work turned into a decades-long project.
We all never thought more than a year or two ahead that all the projects that we had, and now here we are, 30 years later.
In the early 2000s, most U.S. lighthouses were in the late stages of disrepair. The government auctioned off or simply gave away more than 100 of them along the Great Lakes. Enthusiasts sprang into action, even knowing that the task was enormous and involved a lot of dirty jobs.
We came out here, most of the rooms, and especially the ones lower, probably had 2.5 feet of bird poop that we had to shovel out.
The task was easier when local authorities provided support. Recently, Port Washington on Lake Michigan won ownership over its 81-year-old Art Deco-style lighthouse.
It's been resounding, and people want this to be locally controlled, locally owned.
The city plans to start collecting donations for the projected $1.5 million project, while residents say they cannot wait to start restoring the old structure at the end of their breakwater pier. George Putic, VOA News, Washington.